Shihan versus Spooter in the top lane. New patch, juicy picks potentially on the horizon. Are we gonna have some fun action in the top lane?
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping for that. My team will allow me to, give them the chance to, like, with the new champs and that things there. I want to smack Shihan, like, last time he got counter picked, he still died like 4 times in lane, So give me counter pick and maybe he dies 10 times, We're going for an old 10. Then we report him after screen and get him permabanned,
Alright, let that be the closing note of this quick warm-up interview with Spooter. Thank you so much for your time, mate, and good luck later.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, after that spicy little interview we have from Spooter we had before the game day. He seems ready to take on Ruddy because it is Domino up against Ruddy now. Domino and Ruddy both fighting to keep themselves in that playoff spot. Taking a look at the rosters here, if there's anything we should highlight, of course it is Blink being subbed in this week, having a monstrous performance just yesterday.
It was. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. No,
Hi, everyone.
I can hear him. Oh, you're muted on. So I was like, I can hear you. I can hear him. It's fine, surely.
Okay.
He said really interesting things, guys. I promise you. He said it was match of the week.
He talked about a British
Duckling was a bad
tapas again.
person, and we don't like him.
I flamed
He said. He was,
Duckling. That's what I
really
did.
Yeah, exactly. It was awful to hear. I think we just had someone join Discord and tell Ruddy that he's muted, probably. Just brief joining of the call. Well, this is a great start to the match of the day, guys.
You're welcome. I blame me.
Come on,
I blame
guys.
both of you equally.
Yeah,
Duckling because he's Duckling and I like to bully him, and you because you muted yourself. So what are you going to do?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's on you.
I think there's a different level between that. Duckling because he's Duckling, Rude because he muted himself once on broadcast.
You're like, I enjoy bullying you, Duckling. That's a clip that's going to go viral and I'm in trouble for. But for now, that's just the way it is. Is it kind of like an NLC pastime?
Yeah, it is an NLC pastime, especially in the green room. No. You're just giving me the flashbacks to last summer when I was in the green room.
We treated you so well.
Yeah, I was definitely loved down in Berlin. Somehow they kept inviting me back. I guess it's just too much content. You guys needed something to do in the green room, so they just kept bringing me back.
Duckling wasn't hired for broadcast talent.
Put him in the green
room.
I mean, in the end, I wasn't even on air for the finals. I was just sitting in the green room.
Duckling.
Could be worse. I mean, in the end, right? I stopped even appearing as an analyst. They just flew me down there, put me in the green room, and then every time you guys had a break. You had a fun break with me being in the green room with you.
Should we talk about why this is match of the day?
Yeah, exactly. We derailed it very fast.
Yes, a draft is ready, ladies and gentlemen, for the match of the day. It is Ruddy Esports going up against Domino. And
your quick look, of course, the reason this is, of course, match of the day. Ruddy currently sat third in our standings.
Yes.
Top 4 teams make playoffs for the NLC. We have 8 teams in the league. Domino 1 game behind Ruddy. This game for them puts, again, a little bit of potential daylight between Domino and then the rest of the pack. Of course, Ruddy would love to have that daylight themselves, opening up just the smallest advantage there once again. But obviously, if Domino take this win, puts us back to dead even, and it does open up that conversation for there being 3-4 teams that could potentially challenge for playoffs.
Pick up a couple threads that were kind of left behind as we derailed stuff. The one I do want to call out is as we Duckling was talking about Blink coming back, and obviously looked pretty good yesterday. Yes. But it was also against Unique, who have been really, really struggling. We said it in the pregame. I want to bring it up here. This is a much sterner test of where Blink is at. Remember, he's left. He came back again. He's slotting into a roster that's still a little bit up and down, frankly. And we need to see some pretty high-level stuff here to make that happen. And then, obviously, we had a bit of trash talk from Spooner. He says, I wanted to take it to Shihan. I want to prove that I am able to cross swords with the best that the league has to offer, and doing that against a guy like Shihan, who is someone that Ruddy have often liked to play through just in terms of their solo laners, would be a really big statement.
So you get to see at least one of the solo laners decidedly targeted away. NV carry 4 plays of Yasuo, 4 wins, it's
They'll
been
give him
banned
the
away. Quite unsurprisingly, honestly, that's been taken off the board. Now, the Melio first pick, we were talking about champions that we didn't seem to think were nerfed, even though they had the numbers changed on 13-13. Melio is still bonkers. I still abhor this champion in solo queue. Please pick this champ, and it opens up Blink to once again play a very, very domineering AD carry in the late game.
Yeah, that's exactly one I want to pick up, Ruddy. If you're picking the Melio, it says, I want my AD carry to be as potent as they can be. It unlocks something like a Lucian as well. Like, we just asked for Blink to prove he has got what it takes to make playoffs, to tangle with the best in the league. Ruddy, as direct competitors just ahead of them in the table, will be a great starting point in that one.
I think there's going to be another Filio, so just have that gut feeling. Yeah, he had a fantastic performance on it yesterday with the Melio, which showed himself a very strong laning there with the extra range, able to poke out a little bit. I really like that. Blink was absolutely monstrous on it yesterday, so the thing is now, what can Ruddy really do to close him down, because we know he will be a threat, so they need something to go and look for that. Bot lane seemed to be secured, obviously, for Ruddy. You do still have the flex pick, though, in the Rel.
I'll also say, as you said, that the Rel is a flex pick, and that's great, and it does allow a few more opportunities. It didn't necessarily come out as clean as they wanted earlier on in the day, but we certainly know that's a possibility. I think also, considering you're into a Melio, Rel kind of makes Melio's life a lot harder, because you have to get that ultimate right, and if you are burning the ultimate to save yourself and not your key carries, it gets much trickier. That said, Melio and Aphelios is an absolutely foul combo. More ways to keep Aphelios alive, more shields, more ways for him to bruiser his way forwards with all of his overheal shielding is pretty rough. Bringing in something like a Viego here for Zapto, though, could be a bit more fun, because if you can start to pick away someone like the Aphelios, you have a lot of fun with it.
Also, just got a bit of confirmation from the admins. You see Domino missed a ban. They just missed the ban. There was no competitive ruling or anything. Domino just slow to ban a champion.
Didn't want to say anything till I know.
Yeah, exactly. So good to get that clarity out there. But like you'd mentioned, initialize the Viego here, going to add to their skirmish capability. Ruddy's bot lane, of course, a very much for me have been an up and up style of bot lane. Started out the split with a really ropey performance, but now have really come into their own as a bot lane 2v2 Pui as well on these engage style champions. Makes a lot of sense, and he's definitely going to make Blink's life a little bit more difficult. Still waiting for the majority of our solo laners to be picked. I love that we get to see Spooder on Cassante. It's the second most played champion that he'll go for. If he gets Olaf, he can take that, but 9 times out of 10, that's banned, and then Cassante's next up on the docket.
Yeah, you sort of see that maybe you could flex that if you wanted to, but I'm feeling that's likely going towards that top lane. There's very few matchups that Cassante can't play. There are some where he has to just seed lane, seed waves. That's kind of semi-immaterial. The point is, especially when you are drafting towards an Aphelios and a Melio, at the very least, you want to guarantee money going to the Aphelios. If that's just an isolated lane where they get to farm, that's fine. If you're wanting to play towards it, that's even better. But either way, having the Cassante that's able to do his own stunts is pretty huge. You can see that Domino ban away a couple more of those key picks from Envy in the Lysandra and the Akali, which are big AP threats and dive threats more importantly. And instead, Ruddy will go towards Renekton, which is a matchup we're seeing increasingly commonly into the Cassante, because you do at least kind of win out, at least at that sort of one item mark before Cassante becomes a real monster as the game goes on.
Yeah, so didn't quite go for the Darius. Shihan's original pocket pick instead goes for the Renekton, something that also, offers that early game aggression, you could say, as Clover. The Nivea Hover will stay there for a while, but will be changed in the last second to a Wukong. So Jungle now locked in as well. Leaves mid open. Probably want some more time to think about that. Clover 7, one of the rookies here in our league, who's had some great performances and some not as great ones.
So I'll pull the curtain back for you guys a little bit. So I got to chat with some of the coaches at MSI, and they were saying part of the reason that Viego, Kha'Zix, Kindred really came into the meta around that tournament was basically because they dealt with Wukong and Vi better than any of the junglers. And you just saw the Viego get picked, the Wukong get picked into the Viego, especially after Wukong isn't quite as potent as he once was a few patches back. Yes, it's with Yari. Yes, it's a good combo. It's still going to be just fine in terms of the concept. It's still potentially something that Zapto can exploit in the fact that Viego can punish the Wukong early, especially if you overdive, because you steal that body, you get to steal all those abilities, go right back in the way he came.
One of the things that I did unfortunately say whilst muted was that I believe Duckling had robbed Shakal of an MVP performance yesterday on the Wukong specifically. He looked absolutely insane on the champion, was
He's a good player,
1v1ing
he's a good
AD
player.
carries, honestly 1v2ing, 1v3ing in the backline on this Wukong. I've seen multiple standout performances from Shackle, not just this split, but last split as well, when he steps into this roster and actually takes over games with this pick.
Yeah, I really, really do rate Shaquille here. I think he's a good early game oriented jungler. When he's done stuff like the Lee Sin or the Wukong, where he's able to get his spike and then just snowball the game from there, he's in his comfort zone. So giving him this again, as you mentioned, yes, he had a very good performance yesterday, and if he can replicate that, he can certainly win.
I think I'll also say, though, on the other side for Ruddy, you've got a Rise, which what he provides is insane amounts of wave clear in particular. You've got yourself a Renekton, which can obviously try and get the shove into the Cassandra early. I think you can probably contest in the bot lane as well, even if, of course, you are into that double range that Blink and Snobby will be running. And we just kind of talked about the fact that Viego is one of those champions that can potentially be aggressive onto a Wukong, at least from what we've been hearing. And I feel like, much like, say, we saw with Staffan's Vladimir early, I wonder whether Ruddy have set up to give this Viego a bit of license to invade early on with the priority.
Yeah, definitely in that bot side. Before Aphelios has the blue gun, right, you got to go through a full rotation of 2 weapons before you get access to the Infernum. So early stages, levels 1 through 3, through 4 even, you can expect to see that bot side for Ruddy definitely have prio. Certainly an option to try and find some advantages. And we know that Ruddy, at least in the earlier parts of this season, were very happy to play through Zapdo. They flexed a Sejuani mid lane to try and make a Master Yi work, for example. They are a team that are happy to throw down. And one of the analysis that we've had of Ruddy throughout the split has been, even if they draft themselves into holes, they use their hands to team fight their ways back out of them. And with this sort of skirmish oriented composition, they've got the tools to do it.
Yeah, I think that's very reasonable. I think I'd also add in that unlike some of those earlier comps where it felt like Zapdo must carry or the comp falls apart, this time it's more that Zapdo can carry.
Yeah.
But if he just becomes another part of the team and someone else is the one that ends up with the gold or the resources, you're feeling fine about it too. Of course, for the other side on Domino, like if you get that Aphelios Milio to a mid game where they get to, you know, do Aphelios Milio things, which I think most people who've been following those two champions will understand what that means. You're feeling pretty okay there as well. I do feel there is a certain amount of onus on Ruddy to prevent or at least mitigate what the Aphelios can do this game, because otherwise, game could get tricky.
And bringing it back towards the mid lane, I want to highlight Clover 7 here for just a couple seconds. I vividly remember his first game of the split as a rookie coming into our league. He did play the Ahri and he had a monstrous performance on it. So really happy to see him back on that champion one that I associate with success for him. Good to see him back on that comfort, and hopefully he can make it work up against NVK, a very veteran player, you could say, having played a couple games in the LCS.
I feel like he's being greedy though, because he's named himself Clover 7, and we all know that 4-leaf clovers are the lucky ones. So, you know, does he really need the additional 3 leaves? Isn't that just a bit much? Come on, you got to give some.
I think
leave
7
some
is
for
the
the
lucky
rest of
number in
people.
China, right?
It is very much so.
And
Well, that may
isn't
be-
Clover Chinese?
Yeah, he is.
So maybe
Yeah, there you go.
he didn't think about the 4-leaf clover. Instead, in China, they have these mutated 7-leaf clovers. Maybe that's the lucky ones.
Actually, also, funnily enough, 4 is often a very negative number in a lot of Asian countries and stuff, because the kanji or the hanzi, depending on which culture you're in, is associated with the word for death, and therefore it's a very inauspicious number.
I didn't know that.
So whereas 7 is much more palatable and a number that's more associated with heaven and stuff. So it's a whole thing.
That's understandable.
you go.
Learning with Initialize. That's actually
I know.
genuinely.
I got
good
that
juice.
one. It's cool. I know.
I want
welcome.
to talk about the matchup though with these two
Yeah, let's do that.
specifically, because currently it is Domino who are down a win versus Ruddy. Ruddy won out the last time these two teams played against one another, with the talk of playoff implications for this game being important. Good to know that if Ruddy find a win here, not only does it set them a little bit apart from the rest of the teams in the NLC leaderboard, but also it gives them that 2-0 lead over a team that they are likely to have to vie for if any tiebreakers do arise. Of course, if Domino come back and win this game, then they're going to be in a position where it's a 1-on-1 and that tiebreaker will exist.
Yes, and that would be a big deal. We are beginning to talk about some of these sort of like playoff scenarios, because the middle of the pack is incredibly tight, especially with people, as we said, like 4th wall really stepping up. We're taken pretty low.
Oh,
Still
Clover
flash
though.
forward.
Could look for the
That
first blood.
bolts.
Oh, the extra auto does it, and that's the first blood for him. Shaquille is here to keep him safe. Flashball from Zapdo though.
no.
Doesn't want to let this
Wait.
happen, and he will get it with one more auto. Pure rotating up as well. a 1-for-1 overall, but it's all the resources spent by Ruddy just to get that 1-for-1.
Well, that's not how I think MD Carry had foreseen that one going. Flashing in for the root secures the death onto Clover 7, but definitely secures his own death as well. Now they're still sticking around in this bot side.
Here, right? Domino aren't fully aware, but Steppy's rotating up as well. Clover had CP'd back in.
Yeah, they're just going to go for the Raps and try and get out. Use a little bit more. And again, that's what we talk about from draft. I kind of mentioned it. Like, look, if you can get the prior, this is what they wanted to do. It wasn't clean. They still go 1-for-1. They get a Raptor camp afterwards. You know, Ari doesn't get the most ideal back timing, but then again, neither does the Rise. So, bit of a wash, all things said and done. And Raptors are kind of the difference maker to try and mitigate the first blood goal going into Ari.
You ask any of my solo queue junglers, that's exactly what they want from their mid laner. The epitome of clean
Whiff.
right there.
Yes,
Flash
exactly.
in,
That's
land the
me.
root.
I want it.
That's good enough for me, folks. Now, NB Carry, despite all that, has managed to amount quite the CS lead. The way the wave was, it was bouncing into the Riser's turret. He got to teleport back in, collect a large majority of it where Clover had to teleport in, and then play incredibly respectfully because he didn't actually know what was happening in the bot side jungle with the rotation from Pui and Zapdo as well. So at the minute, NB Carry actually in a fairly decent position.
Like, I think that's fair, right? Because you can sort of see the look. Yes, it was not as clean as they were hoping. It was very bold to flash in with that low HP. But the wave state was good. The pressure was good to get the invade off as well. There are additional factors that do mitigate that from being perhaps a little overzealous into being largely okay.
He's looking for full-on commit here. Spooder though, good damage back. Wow, a heal early on there from the
empowered abilities are a whole thing.
Yeah. I guess no one dies. Too much healing, too much sustain on the Cassandra as well.
Good to see there from Spooder as well, immuning the Ruthless Predator from Shihan. The stun got unstoppable. The Cassante W working very nicely, of course. This is
Showmaker again starts to rage somewhere in the world.
Yeah, I can hear him all the way from Korea here.
I love Showmaker, man. That guy has been such a content
classy.
machine. Like, the fist as well. Oh,
so
that
good.
guy.
My favorite phrase from ever, I bring it up every time. It's just like that. The fact that EU West is inhabited by a variety of villains is just an incredible statement.
Did you say that? I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, he did. Basically talking about the server, it's inhabited by a variety of villains because like the players, he was having to deal with like Rat IRL, Twitch level wanting him and that kind of thing, and it's just like EU West is a complete different ball game to nearly any other server.
The wonderful worlds of EOS solo queue. That is a good reason I don't participate
We're
in
all
that
haunted by it.
anymore. Regardless though, first strike is on the map here. Domino could look to make a move forward. Shakale clearing top to bot, so we'll be in the area. Septo getting his first reset in. If we remember last time Septo played the Viego, first game of the split against Vanilla, he was very strong, but unable to pull back or pull home the victory for Ruddy. In the end, Vanilla won that game thanks to Liam Cole, Aphelios, as you would imagine when Vanilla win. Regardless though, so far so good. 43 CS compared to the 28 of Shakale, and then a half item already.
You see Zapdo was thinking about maybe investigating where the Raptors were because they just respawned, but Shakale will get there in time. Now in towards this mid lane, there is Clover taken pretty low, and you can actually see that Zapdo's managed to get himself about a 10 odd CS lead. Yes, there'll be maybe a camp spawning that Shakale can get into, but I think actually Zapdo's done a fairly good job of getting ahead just slightly of his opposition number, and I wonder whether they'll try and translate some of this into this early dragon that's just spawned as well.
Prior in bot, prior in mid, wave's not crashing for just a little bit longer, so Ruddy have got this timer to go do it. And I think we got to see one of my just funner interactions in League of Legends, which is when phase rush procs
Play with me?
No, when phase rush procs and you get charmed. No, I won't indulge you in that. You shut me down earlier when I tried to talk about Ricard support.
No, that's fair. I deserve that.
Poppy
Okay,
support. I'm shutting you down now. When you get charmed and you proc phase rush, you just run exceptionally quick at people. The inverse happens when you fear a Master Yi as fiddlesticks, and that's also fun.
Still here.
Stop.
We have great interactions, me and you, mate. And Duckling's like, what am I dealing with? I know.
I don't know if I've
So I think we'd be less hostile, you know. Maybe if Duckling wasn't here, I think it's probably.
How did I get brought into this? No, I was
I was going to drag you into the mess, mate.
I think Duckling's the buffer, honestly. This could have been way worse if Duckling wasn't here.
That's so true.
Whenever you guys start disagreeing, you can always agree on the fact that you can bully Duckling. You know what? At least you can bully Duckling.
I think it's important to remember
understand.
the reason we can go down these tangents is because this game has been very quiet early on.
Yes.
Right? The Drake has gone for match of the day, unfortunately, we've not been treated to the all-out stellar brawl that we've seen from other games so early on. But both of these teams are going to be more than happy with that. We've got double scaling carries on both sides. I think that the Aphelios and Ari can do great work later on, but also the same could be said for Xayah Rise. Rise's damage later on, again, absolutely immaculate. And with the double scaling, with the Tier and Rod of Ages in his build, this fight around the Rift Herald, you imagine Domino should be able to pick up.
Renekton level 7 does have Dominus and Rage to work with. This could get pretty scary.
Yeah, they want Clover. Yet another flash forward there, and Shihan will follow up on it to secure the kill. Dashes over one more time with the slice and dice. Not quite enough damage to take down Spooder though.
Does get away with that one. I wondered whether they might commit a bit further, but I think they didn't quite have enough damage, even with a flash and an ultimate from Zapdo, to make that happen. So they get a kill. They do lose the Herald, and that's gonna be, I think, probably a trade that Domino are happy to take. But you could see that got pretty hairy at points there. I think Spooder manages to finesse his way out, but another stun lands. He doesn't immune that, and that gets a lot rougher.
And we have to shout out Clover as well for being the actual only person on Domino who's played any PvP this game. 1, 2, and 0.
Yeah, right.
Currently, the entire scoreboard is just Clover 7.
We want some result, yeah.
The rest of Domino, of course, very heavily indexing into that player versus environment
it's true
experience.
of Envy as well.
Yeah.
No, it's not because no, because
well,
yes, it is. Yeah,
Zapdo and Shihan have contributed from Ruddy as well, right?
That's
My
true.
point being
That's
that Clover 7 is the only one
fine.
on Domino.
Fine, I'm there with you. Thank you for clarifying, because I'm clearly not paying enough attention there. Oh,
I
boy.
mean, he's playing more PvP now. I guess as the Metal Storm comes down, he will be rooted up by the W slowly. No, instead, Envy goes for the damage and it pays off massively. 1 and 3 now on Clover's scoreline.
Really like that from MV Carry. Knows that Clover's ult just wasn't available and actually goes for the max DPS Rise combo, skipping the route instead and using it to get a lot of overloads down. Spooder, you're in trouble, buddy.
You shouldn't be there.
He's
He's done.
Oh, no!
No!
How do you gain that much distance that quickly on a tank?
What
was that?
Yes, it fools! It's Cassante!
Oh, such a stupid champion, man.
That's true.
I genuinely thought Zapdo missed his ult as well. In fairness, it was actually a really clean flash from Spooder.
It was
to miss
very
the ult.
nicely played.
And she didn't pop ult, so there was that ult, so there was that to work with. So actually, I will give credit there. I think that's just a clean flash as well.
But they do end up losing out on, obviously, a lot of gold for Spooder, right? He doesn't have teleport to get back to this lane. That's 2 waves under his turret that are going to go missing. That's a lot of plate gold going into Shihan and Zapdo as well. At a cost, albeit, of Shakal getting a bit of gold down on his bot side. And an attempt at a bot side invade. Not really going to look to result in anything else, I would imagine.
No, but if there's teleport and Envy's coming over, they might be able to think about defending this, but I think they'll just give over the double camps and leave it there.
Yeah, there's just a couple minutes as well on the plates. Shakale is still sitting on that first Herald, so likely look to use it soon. He has to find a place someplace somewhere. The question just is where the opportunity is.
I do also want to point out that Shihan walked back to lane, has kept that TP. And remember, with that Herald in inventory, a flanking Renekton deep TPing as you're trying to do a Herald shove could be disastrous.
Yeah, especially with
they
first
really need to keep an eye
in,
on that.
right?
Yeah, and exactly. And teleports are unleashed now. That has been a big change, obviously, over this split in particular. So that could be really dangerous, especially now the Gore Drink is in as well. That teleport on the Renekton could do a lot of dangerous stuff. It's what VTO and Ebby were doing a lot for Heretics as we go to begin the split in the LEC as well. So we'll see if Shihan gives that a go here.
Yeah, of course, Gore Drinker, a notoriously weak first item power spike for
Oh,
all of
yeah,
our bruises
hugely
on
so,
that
yeah,
top side. So we have to we have to temper our expectations a little bit for what Shihan
Oh, yeah, no. Never seen it on a Renekton before. Strike breaker or nothing, right?
If anyone didn't pick up on the /S of that, then I do apologise, but...
Slash serious, of course. That's what that stands for. Yeah,
yeah, not sarcasm at all. Brits notorious for their lack of that.
No. And great tapas.
Yeah, I do love British tapas.
I can't believe the pictures in the group chat as well. It literally had smiley potatoes, or whatever they were called. Then. Like,
They're just sort of hash browns, but with a smiley face cut through them. That's all they are.
Is that? I don't get it, man. Why is that a part of the deal?
It makes you feel happy.
Is that the only happiness Brits get in their life? When their food is smiling back at them?
We radiate positive energy, Duckling. I don't know what you want.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're known
You guys
for,
are always so positive. Every time I meet you two, you're always just the most, charismatic, smiling people in the room.
That's very true. I'm glad you understand that. Thank you for noting that real truth to the world.
Certainly. No worries, guys. Regardless.
Let's catch back up, because Ruddy...
Domino actually put down the Herald there.
They did?
and they got 1.5 plate from it, so it didn't really mean anything.
Yeah, I'm just not sure whether Blink was quite in range for the
He
goal.
wasn't.
He was going to.
There was
That was what I
nothing.
wanted to call it. That's a big deal for not having that.
Yeah.
And yeah, yes, Golden Wukong's not a bad thing. He does scale very well with items. You know, 2 items on a Wukong is still scary. You know, level 11, all of that jazz. Very, very potent for that champion. But we've already talked about it. The fact that this Aphelios is kind of the serious win condition, especially when you've drafted the Milio as well. You kind of wanted that golden inventory.
So, going forward, right, we've got this Domino composition where team fights are going to be very much their friend, but these short order skirmishes don't look bad either. We've got Wukong Cyclone, the Divine Sunder have finished, is that big break point for me where Shakal should be looking to go absolutely crazy in team fights. The next objective looks to be this Rift Herald. I want to see Domino fully commit to trying to take this fight. They've got an item and a half on their AD carry. It's an advantage with the BF sword as well. It's looking like this window for Domino where they have not even a lead overall on the map, but just good item breakpoints should be the place to play around.
Yeah, the items starting to come in here from the side of Ruddy as well on Domino, but not as quickly, especially Clover a bit behind after the 3 deaths. As you say, Herald will be up soon. So currently vision control definitely in the hands of Ruddy. Yes, Domino do have the one Scotland Crab up towards the top side, but really that's about it.
You can see already just a small rotation from Blink into the mid lane. ADC's coming over. Typically suggest your willingness to try and contest for the objective. Now they are sharing experience once again, and Blink, this is your timer to make the decision. Are you going to try and shield bot lane, or are you going to fully commit to this Herald? Looks like it's going to be the latter, and it means that Ruddy are giving a lot of free time to toaster down on that bot side, and if they take this fight, they know they're at a numbers disadvantage.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say anything particularly interesting, honestly. I was just going to say I feel like there's not really
Yeah,
very
do
many
that,
ways
though.
for Ruddy. Can we contest that?
Wow!
Oi, shots fired.
Duckling got in there.
What's
He got one
happening
in.
here? Duckling is the one firing the shots.
Oh wait,
He
look
normally
at bot
gets
lane
shot
as
at.
well. Spooder's just TP bot lane for
Look at him.
toaster.
Yeah, and Shihan with
I don't
Dominus
know
and
if he
Flash
wants
level
to
could be pretty
Spooder.
hard.
Flashes straight into the waiting hands of
no.
Septo. Could still look to dash out. He's a stupid champion, remember that.
Now there you go.
In the end, though, not quite enough. Does do good damage and force a couple of summoner spells with him. But that's the flash and the TP from Spooder to die.
But look at
And
what they're getting on
Go
this
on,
top
mate.
side. They're getting at least
Yeah.
one turret. A second charge is almost assured to happen. TP in from ND carry, I really like this. Stops the likelihood of this turret from going down. 1v3, you'd like to think Domino could feel confident versus the Renekton. I'd like to beg to differ a little bit. But that turret not falling equalizes the play. It's a turret for turret and actually a kill in favor of Ruddy.
Yeah, that is the big deal. And obviously compare that to last game where Wendell gets to flash out in the Nautilus and you go, oh dear, that collapsed somewhere. This time, they're aware that Spooder might well try and come over the wall, and they do force the additional summoners. That's pretty good work, and they do get the kill, and they manage to trade towers at the very least, and especially considering that's into a Herald as well. You take that bluntly.
Now, we have obviously seen a mid lane pull for Blink. This is that mid-game point where your AD carries now just play ping-pong with one another, right? You're catching one wave and pushing
So
another.
was League of
So-
Legends.
Oh, this broadcast has moved to a whole new level. Holy moly.
I could hear his rage from over here.
There's no rage. There's no rage.
That's just a disappointment.
I fell into a pitfall of talking about Aphelios gun rotations on the last broadcast, and it got very, very messy.
Yeah,
Just-
you and Veteran went very deep with that.
Yeah, a quick note that Blink currently isn't on my agreed upon rotation of guns, and
Look,
that is
Oh,
all.
no.
There is something more important, though, Rude, and it's the fact that in just 40 seconds, despite us only being 17 minutes into the game, it is a soul point that will be spawning for Ruddy. Do they have the spikes to try and contest it? Will they be taking it? What's the move here, gentlemen?
I feel like Ruddy are the ones who are probably going to have the easier wave clear right now, and you know, not to put too fine upon it, but that is not a good weapon combo right
Yeah,
now.
it's really bad,
Unless
actually.
you're very, very ahead, you can get moonshot Qs if you get them on to pick good targets. But that's really more for like individual picks. Not a great team fighting combo.
Very
I do
situational.
need to see Blink get rid of one of the ammo on. I think probably the Calibrum to get through the purple blue.
I mean, he can very quickly rotate here. Just needs to use these abilities on both of the weapons. As Spooder does get rooted up.
Look at
That's a
the
lot of
damage.
damage from
Okay.
enemy carry. Yeah, that is absolutely disgusting. Power of Rise.
Over.
Yep, you is in a lot of trouble here. Spooder could look for the engage. For now, though, disengages.
I mean, if Domino aren't going to engage and ND carries allowed to just step up, fire off overloads into the team, they're going to be more than happy with that. 2 items,
That's
and
the
he's
ult.
forcing ultis already. Clover now very much limited, and the clock
Yeah, that's the soul.
started. Soul point for
Soul point,
Ruddy.
yeah, sorry.
And Domino get nothing. Mid tier 1 push, but whether they can get the turret is at the object of Ruddy's fight.
I don't think Ruddy will give it up.
Right.
I think they're going to fight for it. Toast is stepping up here
yeah.
very confidently. They want someone.
really-
Looks to be Spooder, who's very, very
Spooder.
low.
Oh,
Cancel on the
that
Metal
knockback was
Storm.
huge.
Won't save
that.
Spooder, however, as now the resets are coming through. They want them all here, and they will flash forward to try and get them.
And a Realm Warp as well, to try and
yeah.
pick up a second. Unfortunately, not successful. And we did see Snobby end up falling off the back end of that. But again, Ruddy take themselves a Drake, a couple of fights. They lose nothing for it with those kills. The 3k gold lead is probably going to expand a little bit more when this mid-tier 1 falls as well.
I mean, like, and to add in on that as well, like, look, we asked that, said that Zapdo could carry this game, right? And he's been given that opportunity now. He's got the kills on this Viego. You've got the Rise, it's at 2, 1, and 3. You're looking at Toaster, who's doing fine. Yes, down a bit of CS, but whatever. You've got enough access to some of those turrets and stuff. You've got some waves to pick up as they start to crash into your turrets, as well as they are starting to come back towards you. You're feeling pretty happy. Brief keyboard issue by the sounds of it, according to production on Domino's end, so hopefully that gets resolved shortly. But Domino are in a bind now. They have got tricky positions in terms of who do you send to side lane against, particularly the Rise. The Renekton's no slouch. You're down Soul Point as well. You've lost towers. Vision control's struggling. If you face check a Viego, you're going to have a horrible time. Like, your number of successful options are a lot lower now for Domino. And then on top of that, like, the percentage chances of plays being successful is just significantly harder to figure out and pass as to what's a viable option.
Yeah, of course, right. I always love talking about the percentage options that you've got available and how likely these plays are to succeed. And we're getting to the point now for Domino where it's dwindling very quickly, so that the chances that you're taking are slimmer and slimmer, likelihood of going into your favor. If you take a 5v5 at this point, right, 30-70 chance that it goes your way. But the alternative is a 0 to 100 where you just do nothing, bleed out and lose the game. So you have to take the 30% chance because it's better than nothing else.
I think I'll also just sort of put in with this as well that it's not just that the plays are difficult, it's that knowing you can make them is harder, because you have got to be not just committed as a team, but willing to agree on a bad play because it's the best you've got available. And I've got a replay here. This is the level 1 that was very all in to make sure they use the most of this pressure.
There was also a hero creep there. I didn't notice that, but
Yes.
MV Carry got a little bit bullied by just one range or melee creep that blocked all of his spells after the root had landed. So, and you can see as well, the fact that NV Carry obviously died there has meant very little for how this game has played out, because this Rise is still absolutely lethal. Ruddy more than happy to repay him in kind with some ganks.
Yeah, and the lead has just slowly been building up already, right? It's the culmination of a lot of plays going slightly in their favor. A kill here, a kill there, a neutral objective to nothing in the end, or a 1-for-1, but we get a turn. All of these small leads are just slowly but surely culminating in these fights, where we can just see now they are just that far ahead. And even if, for example, the Metal Storm here misses, they still have enough brute force power to just force their way into the backline and get a couple kills.
I mean, shout out there to Snappy with a really good Ultra Mega Flare kick, but, like, it's not enough. And the moment you've used that, you are out of disengage. It's a great one to get rid of a key ability, but when you're on the retreat like that already, there's not that much more you get to do. And he's kind of dead to rights at that point. And yes, you still have the win condition of get a Phelios to 2 items, 3 items, power him up with a melee on a cozy campfire. Use that to try and win your fights, but it's not like you are unmatched in the ability to do damage, and you have still got to play out those fights significantly better than the expected average to make it work. And then, you know, there's still Soul Point to consider. You're looking at probably 2 items likely coming in before that's available as well, and you get to pull off dives like this. That's a very dead Aphelios. Nothing more to be done there. No Milio to save them, and no breath to be had to give life to.
Yeah, important to remember this is off the back of a Drake take for Ruddy. I know the pulse sort of interrupted the flow a little bit, but Ruddy had just taken the Drake, taken a good fight around the mid lane. That turret felt like a formality, Shackle.
Zapdo doesn't have ult, but Toast's going to try and come over and save. Teleport's coming through. I think that's just a dead jungler, and it's not quite 20 minutes, so no way to potentially convert that into a Baron, but at least something back on the exit, and that's a shutdown as well that went over.
Yeah, exactly right. We can see Domino starting to get desperate here, just looking for the opportunities to get a couple picks. Doesn't really matter if it leads into anything. This is just about getting something back. If I recall correctly, there was a shutdown as well on Zapdo being 3-0-2. Wasn't?
It was like it was. I was
No,
agreeing
it
with
was
you.
okay. Yeah. I was pretty sure, right? The bounty system isn't that broken, if I recall correctly. So they're getting a bit more here, and despite not, as you say, leading into something like the Baron, we're getting some gold on your carries. You're getting closer, and you're buying time as well. Where it's not Ruddy controlling the map, but you're able to catch a couple waves, catch your breath. Now, though, I think Spuda needs to back off here, otherwise he could be in trouble with the Baron spawning in 10 seconds.
Clover picking up these kills as well. Again, gold in the right place for Domino, as much as his early laning phase throughout the whole season, honestly, has been a little bit subject to scrutiny. The mid-game and the late-game team fightings for Clover are definitely where he excels as a player, so getting him this gold and putting a little bit more in terms of resource to him is definitely going to be working out, as Ruddy have very early started up this Baron. It's been live for 12 seconds, gents.
Look at where Pri is. He's going to try and jump onto someone important. Shackle could be in danger. Massive Magnet Storm, and they're going to try and eviscerate him in the backside. Wukong flashes and gets to survive, but Shihan is in the middle of absolutely everybody. Is taken down. Domino have the lower health bars, but they have the man advantage, and Ruddy's attempted bait goes awry.
Important, it's their jungler who's on the lowest HP. Shackle doesn't really have a good way of sustaining up either, but using this numbers advantage.
Oh no, he's got to be so careful.
Good. No
Quiet
window
in.
shopping. Well done.
It's a crucial turn as well. That just look at the gold it injects back into Domino. They buy more time, get some more gold on their carries, opens up the map as well. 2 minutes on the soul. I don't think Domino want to see themselves in a situation where they are having to choose between either of the objectives. Already though, could look to start to back up Shihan. Running out of base as we speak. Shakira has just got the reset in, but look at how quickly this is smelting.
They do it again. This time, remember, a lot of those summoners, a lot of those health bars just aren't there, and there's just no one able to respond. They're going to be too slow. Look how much damage is there, and a Realm Ward out to add insult to injury. It's a heist of the century, and Domino had nothing to say about it.
That's exactly what you love to see from Rise compositions, using the Realm Warp to facilitate team-wide gold. This is, again, just a really great use from NV Carry, and at a perfect timing juncture for Ruddy as well. We've got the Soul spawning in 1 minute 20. They can use the Baron pressure in mid lane, use it in bot lane to push out their waves, choke out vision on the bot side of the Rift, and make sure that Domino have to check every single brush and make sure that they are devastated at any chance.
Absolutely. And on top of that, remember that this is the game state after things like the durability patch last year, after some of the item changes to particularly AD carries to be a lot more potent at 2 items. Add in a Rise, add in a Viego who's gone Trinity Force. Baron disappears at 20 minutes. Like, you do not get to not be aware that's happening, and they try it a second time, and it disappeared in the blink of an eye. That is such a fast take. Another pause, unfortunately, but here we are again after Ruddy kind of just abused their item power spikes, frankly.
And I think for me, this is what I wanted to see from Ruddy, because in my head, at least coming into this, they were the 3rd place team in the league. They have to prove themselves versus Natives versus Verdant to see how closely they match up to the top 2. Obviously, yesterday had a shocker against Verdant. There's no other way of saying it. Got absolutely sman-bangled. But bouncing back to Gate up against a team who are very much in the same proximity in the standings, this is that defining matchup where they go, okay, maybe we're not quite up to the Verdant standard, but we are definitely above the likes of Domino and those people that are challenging at our heels.
I have got word for production. There's just a slight issue on, I think someone IRL has got something quickly to sort out. And of course, that's very important. You don't get to control your environment quite as much when you're playing from a remote setup. So hopefully that gets resolved soon. We're back into game. But at least that's not a tech issue.
There we go.
And thus, the moment I said, didn't even have to get the cast to start the game button. We're straight into game again.
Thank you. Right back into it. It's about ready now, right? They have to try and use this Baron to the best of their ability. Let's see how they do the lane assignments here. At the moment, they're just mainly on the bot side, maybe just looking to group up and simply brute force their way to some more turrets. Again, there's a sort of in 30 seconds, so I guess the turrets aren't the main objective for now. It's just more about being able to secure the Ocean Soul spawning in 20.
This is just, again, if Ruddy are going to get given these turrets, why aren't they going to take them? I think Domino's priorities at the minute are completely mislaid. Not sure what, for example, Snabby Shackle at the moment on the top side of the Rift, for what objective? Maybe playing for the tier 2?
It is.
You want to just, if you want to give the soul, then by all means, this is the play. But giving soul, typically, an awful decision.
I know it is. You're right. I thought it was going to be for the Skullcrafts up with the ping ones. They're actually just going to try and force down turrets, but they are just giving up the soul. They don't think they can contest. They don't have any reason to be able to do that. I guess they decide that at least getting something is better than taking a fight they feel they can't win at all right now, because they are down some fairly significant item completions.
I'm looking at the composition that Domino have. They're not the biggest burst threat composition either. You could make the argument that with Ari going Luden's Echo, maybe there'd be a bit more burst in there, but this is Everfrost, right? The Ocean Soul is going to have value. They don't have that one-shot snap engage onto a target that you can take down within 5 seconds. The Ocean Soul for Ruddy here, going to be lethal.
Yes, it is, and you've got a Rise who'll be loving the ability to battle ward his way through fights. Similar with the Viego, who'd love to get brawling, and having additional healing, having additional sustain on champions like that. Renekton as well. Like, you're absolutely right.
I mean, there is still some hope, you could say, for Domino. They're slowly but surely getting closer towards their 3-item power spikes, and in terms of the items, they aren't that far behind on mid and AD carry. But other than that, they just get eviscerated. Yeah, in the jungle, the difference is very big, and Shaquille struggling to really have the desired impact, but finds the
That's a
engage.
big moment. That's Desire. She's got no ability to press any of her buttons and is instead stuck 6 foot under. Shakal gets another one after, and the moment we ask for a bit of a miracle, they find it. Ruddy punished on a shove. Envy now flashing away. How much more can Blink get done? Doesn't have the best weapons here to chase on. And instead, they'll take 2 and try and get a mid-tier 2 out of it as well.
Yeah, Toaster dying, flash ult, Ghost ready.
That's not okay.
Try to give Ocean Soul some credit. If you're just gonna sit back and tank everything, then obviously Domino are gonna get the opportunity to take you down. Pui also falling gives 2 turrets back to Domino. Unfortunately, it's a bit akin to last game, right? They don't really get to take too much more. 2 turrets is great. There's no objectives on the map for them to take. This opens up the map for them through the top side and the mid lane, but at bot side still with 2 turrets standing. I think Ruddy, albeit with that, major slip in mind, still in the driver's seat.
Big moment here for Blink as well, being able to secure that 3rd item. That really means a lot for his potential damage output. The thing is, though, with Ruddy having Envy carry alive, he does have pretty good wave play, despite it being pretty short ranged. As soon as he was able to step up that wave, simply eviscerated, and as you said, Domino able to get a couple of turns, but that's really all they get off the back of it. But again, steps in the right direction, they're keeping themselves relevant, and now we know they can for sure find these snap engages, and if Toaster isn't prepared to flash at the right time or pop the Featherstorm, well, then he can certainly be caught out again.
Problem is, yes, you've got 3 items on the Aphelios, but I feel like Toaster will get that shortly as well. And then look at Rise's inventory. Those are some of the most expensive or hardest to get items in the game in terms of like transformations on Rod of Ages and Seraph's Embrace. He's got a death cap on top of those as well. This is a very, very scary Rise.
Let's play a game of Spot the MR for Domino. And we did it. Well done, everybody.
Well, that was incredible.
That's the total MR that they've got. This Rabadon's is working overtime because there's nothing that needs to be penetrated, right? Normally you make the excuse for avoid stuff if there's like an iota of MR. Just none of it exists.
It's not even Merc Treads.
Basically doing true damage, at this point. Only the natural resistances of the champions being there. So a scaled up Rise, as you said, right? Rod of Ages has been there for 10 minutes. Seraph's Embrace upgraded. Rabadon's death cap fully enabled as well. It is a good situation for Ruddy to find himself in, but as he recalls, now Pew's in trouble.
Oh, he is going to get over the wall, but not much further. That was really greedy recalls. And with the fact that Envy wasn't there, they lose their support.
Timers as well, folks. Ooh, okay.
That suggests something a little bit odd going on. We'll find out where that means. It's another pause this game, and we are back to the 3 of us. Handsome as ever, gents, but not what we wanted in a game like this, in a tense moment like this.
30-second death timer with Baron spawning in 25 seconds. There's like a 5-10 second overlap where Pui will be dead whilst the Baron spawns. Now, of course, it's your leading source of engage for Ruddy, but the damage is still there for them. They've still got plenty of tools on their side to contest if Domino start tanking to Baron, right? Baron, of course, reduced your resistances if you're tanking it, so difficult decision to be made for Domino. Spuda has teleports. This recall here means that he can get back in. They want to take this fight, and I think 4v5, while you're down gold, it seems like the best bet, even against an Ocean Soul.
Just rush the Baron, right? You have the opportunity to do so. You do okay damage to it, not great, especially with the guns now. For Blink, it's not burned down guns, but still you can try and force the fight.
Oh, they're going to try and make this one happen, all right. They get some damage back, but look how much that Rise is doing. Overloads them all. Does so much with the feather pullback as well, does Toaster. And he lives up to their namesake, because look at them all. They've been turned to a crisp, burnt to the ground. Zapdo goes as well. Who needs the support? You can just win a damn 4v5. It is. It's over.
Don't give Ocean Soul, folks. If there was a better reason to not, that team fight there encapsulates it beautifully. Ruddy just stood and tanked Domino in all their glory. Win out the fight, win out the game.
You just know that Don Jake will have some beautiful dances for this one. Expect glory in the interviews, expect glory from Ruddy. Yes, they lost yesterday, but they're looking to push right back up the standings. Still in third, still ruddying the hell up.
Well, it wasn't Ruddy down, as a lot of people were hoping for apparently in the interviews today, but it's going to be Ruddy up, as you were talking about right there, initialized. Not the greatest showing here. Some priorities that kind of seem to be a little bit off the pace here for Domino, Rooted.
Yeah, again, I can't emphasize this enough. Giving Ocean Soul, you have to have done the mammoth of all trade deals on the other side of the map to make that worth for you. I'm talking getting Baron and an inhibitor in the top side, right? Instead of a top tier 2, just doesn't work out. I would have much rather seen Domino opt into a fight around that Drake, taken a fight, lost it, and then had obviously a difficult game from there. Granted, they were maybe able to extend this game a little bit further, but the way in which they looked good after the soul had gone in their favour was Ruddy making mistakes, not Domino being able to pounce. Toaster getting caught with Flash Ghost ulti ready isn't something that you can rely on as a win condition to get back into a game.
Yeah, and kind of iterate on that. It's not like we were seeing that just later on in the game. It was early on as well. Like, that Herald shove top actually went even in terms of turret trades, and they lost a kill on the bot side. And you look in terms of some of the ways they were playing around, like, control of particularly the red side jungle to get into some of those tier 2s and stuff. It just felt like every single time Domino were trading down.
Were they trading down, Duckling? You get the final call on this.
Yeah, it felt like every time they were able to get something back, they lost more on the other end. There were a couple moments, for example, the pick on PU where they then had the opportunity to potentially get a fight. We saw them get the pick on Toaster as well, where they were able to get a victory. But the thing is, every time they got something, they rarely got much. I mean, it was something they got, but it never meant much, right? Because they got a very good pick on Toaster, but there were no neutral objectives to deny. Yes, you got a turret, but you didn't break open a base, you didn't get an inhibitor to get another pressure point to play around for the next 5 minutes, or whatever. You always got the table scraps, while every time Ruddy want to fight, well, they were able to claim a Drake, claim a Baron, claim the game, or break open the base or whatever. So, Ruddy, whenever they were on the front foot, they really went the whole mile and just took way more than Domino were able to respond with.
I mean, I'll throw this in here as well as like a bit of criticism at Domino, in the sense that how many like truly proactive plays did we see? We didn't see that many engages. We saw some like contests, and there was the Herald play they made, but otherwise, I don't think we really saw much in the way of like active tests of Ruddy. And Ruddy were the ones who got to make most of the plays on their terms, and that's not good enough if you're trying to push into playoffs in particular.
No, and one of those like practical plays that Ruddy did make, right? Like the Ruddy made was the early gank onto Clover 7 in the mid lane that ended up actually giving Clover 7 the first blood. Obviously, Scepter was able to trade off after that, but they got like a lot of like stuff given to them in the early game. For example, off of that, right? And Clover 7 got a helping hand in the mid lane, and it has been a bit of an issue in his laning phase. What's called you Aragon, but your name is Ruddy. Aragon is you're also a much better predictor than Aragon, so you got that going for you, Ruddy.
I knew it was going to come up at some point.
So far, I've not been too bad. But yeah, I think the issue obviously with that early gank that Clover 7, obviously he gets himself a kill, but his wave was just so doomed after that. It really did make his laning phase genuinely difficult. And whilst it's easy to look at a 1-for-1 trade, and even with First Blood go, oh, Clover 7 theoretically comes out on top of that, the follow-up of losing all the experience, being down so much CS versus a scalar like Rise, the gank itself did the objective. Mission was succeeded, even if it was a 1-for-1.
Yeah, and to kind of talk us, go ahead, if you have something to say.
I was trying to say, well, with that one as well, is it wasn't just the 1-for-1. It was also you end up with the Raptors, also you end up with a better reset time, also you end up with 10 CSs elsewhere from other camps and stuff. Like, the little additional factors that were managing to get out of stuff wasn't really there for Domino. And again, it's coming into those trade deals. They just never got a positive one.
So speaking of someone that suits up like the man in the trade deal meme, we have Spuda on the line who could pretty much do this pose, and he would be a great meme template. Hello, mate. So for the second time today, you did promise me that you would suit up earlier for the interview, which you have done. You didn't really get to clap Sheehan around, which you were kind of hoping for. So kind of talk us through what happened.
I think you kind of saw what happened mid-late game, when we started getting activated, and, I got like the the Q on the Xayah and then like a Q on Rel and stuff, we kind of activated too late because the moment we started, getting these catches, getting these picks, they already had, Ocean Soul and, like 6 towers and stuff. So we just had to activate ourselves, a bit earlier,
Yeah, well, what would be a tool to activate you as a team earlier on, right? Because it's not as simple as someone just handing you like some sort of energize and be like, now you're activated. So like, what is like a condition to activate you as a team?
I think it's very dependent on what team you face because every team is different, right? Like it's kind of the, Charmander, Bulbasaur theory or whatever, the Pokemon theory where some teams just counter the other teams because they have specific playstyles and our playstyle fits more versus certain teams. That's why we had great success versus Verdant because like I think Verdant is a good opponent for us, but Ruddy is very proactive early game and they know oftenly like what the issues is, so they prefer they abuse the small gaps we have in the team. So what we have to what we have to do is like find our own strengths and push them back, because right now we're the ones getting pushed, but we have to push them back, become proactive, get some early breaks, get some early kills or something. Because this game, at least from what I saw, didn't really feel very proactive,
Yeah, that's kind of also the sentiment that's been shared around by our casters about that game here. So finally, we are slowly but surely heading towards the middle parts of the second round robin, which means we're getting closer to the end of the regular season here. And a bit of a both looking forward and retrospective. Like, how are you feeling as a team overall about your season so far?
I think the start we had was like good, but the teams we faced were like, it was the initial start where every team has like some issues, and you would like iron these issues out with time. So the start was like good, but should have been better. We should have picked up some more wins and stuff to carry us over. And then in second here, we had some issues. Some players had to be swapped out, and right now I think we can still make it to playoffs. We just have to step up, the coming week. Like if we win 3-4 games, I think we're pretty secure in playoffs, and that has to be the goal.
Thank you so much for your time, Spooder, and best of luck next week.
Yes, thank you.
So he kind of shares the sentiment that you guys kind of put forward with the fact that they were not really that active enough in the early game, and they kind of needed to find those openings here. So initialize, I guess that at least is a positive thing that Domino are well aware about where they need to improve.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and you can see there has been improvement across the split, and obviously bringing in Blink, that's a change in personnel, that always changes the dynamic of a team, etc, etc. Even if I do think that sometimes in bot lane, you can get away with a little easier, say, an AD carry, where often if you trust your support to be a bit more of a playmaker, you can just follow up on what they're doing, and you can sort of slot people in there a little bit more in terms of what's supposed to be happening. Not all the time, and obviously, things like duo synergy is a thing, but that's still a change that's being made. You're still going against one of the better teams, even if Ruddy are, I think, to put it fairly, volatile. They often have, as we said, a habit of playing their way into deeper holes than the ones they started in. But, the right mindset's there, the right thought processes are there. The question is whether they can follow through, because you still have to pull the trigger a bit more, be a little bit aware that you can't bleed out additional 20% with every play that you're trading for.
You look like a puzzled man, Ruddy, so it seems like you have something on your mind. I don't even...
No, so I was just looking forward at Domino's future games to sort of see where they lie in terms of what games we can expect to see them pick up, what games they can't. They've only actually pulled 2 of the best teams still to play. Ooh. They've still got natives, they've still got Verdant to go up against. Going in, I think now 4 and 6 for the remainder of this season, and then having to play up against the top 2 teams, you can expect that loss column to go to 8, and they are going to need to find an upset victory there almost to give themselves a real chance at breaking into that top 4. A 6 and 8 record isn't going to be easily enough to make you into the playoffs, and you may be relying on some tiebreakers. Reminder, Ruddy now hold a 2-0 over Domino, and I think have pretty much put themselves at that 3rd place spot, and it means that you are now just 1 spot left where we're discussing potentially 4th wall, Nord, along with Domino, that can also maybe get there.
I mean, at the end of the day, we've actually got Domino, Nord, and Fourth Wall all tied at 4 and 6. They're all there. You know, that is actually like wouldn't have been saying that like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago.
Now before the yeah, go ahead, Dougling.
The thing I want to highlight as well, though, for Nord, this week they played both Verdant and Natives, so their strength of schedule is probably the easiest on paper. I mean, they're playing against their direct competitors, and obviously they have a lot to play for. Fourth Wall, they are still yet to play. They have to play that next week. They are on the rise, but you would much rather play a Fourth Wall on the rise, or a Domino, or a Veneer, than a Natives and Verdant. So for Nord, getting this week over with was honestly really good for them, because now they can focus 4 games against opponents that they on paper should be able to beat. If they win all their 4 games, they are still in playoffs. So that's what they can call themselves down with after a disappointing 0-2 week for Nord. While someone issues a guy saying like Domino are still yet to play Native, still yet to play Verdant, and all the big dogs in our league.
Yeah, and initial
Fine, they're on the rise, but what about Envy on the rise? What about that?
I was gonna make that one, but I felt like it was like way too long of a point for it to like have enough like the pullback was gonna be so long.
I had leaned into the mic so long ago. I was like, I'm just gonna commit at this point.
Great minds think alike. But speaking of another great mind, Don Jake on the line here. So what are we saying? Congratulations on a victory here.
Listen, my head's already massive. Like, I don't know why you guys always zoom in my head. Like when I come on here, man. Like it's actually this complete mockery.
As someone with a massive head as well, I feel your pain. You're at least able to find caps to fit your head. I cannot for my life do that. To be
Listen,
honest.
with the way my mid laner's been underperforming, we need to find caps. We need to. He's not good.
I mean, he was on the rise today, so maybe it's an uptick and fall on the way. We never know.
Listen, if I rise this ding, I'll put a boy in a box like Shaco. That's what I've been saying for years, man. The thing is, you have to ask Ange. Even Synapse wants to post this Cog Lulu.
Yeah, I mean, Cog Lulu, that's a banger for composition. That's a bot lane from a. I was going to say from a future past, because it always comes back, right? So history is a circular thing.
Listen, you're not doing... What's going on, mate? You're all over the place. I'm just going to say this right now.
I am.
Duckling's back on the cast. He's graduated from, I don't know, kindergarten or something. He's come back from there. Spreading a bit of the Danish propaganda on the stream. I want to say this right now, and, you know, it's a working theory. You can say what you want. I don't think Denmark exists. I flew there once. I don't think I actually was in Denmark. I think I was actually in... what people are telling me is southwestern Estonia. I don't think Denmark is a real country. Thrive by moaning, through me time, Gooby Gang, and win by Wendell.
Awesome. Anything else that you want to add here? Any interesting content pieces coming out of the Ruddy house that we should look out for?
Yeah, no, listen, you guys, listen. I've been kind of slacking. I've been a lazy boy. To give you an idea, you see that bed behind me? I was watching the game in that bed on my phone about 10 minutes before this, and my coach was meant to do the interview, and he's not turned up because he's stupid and he doesn't know how to work it. So I've had to get out of bed. I'm in my boxers right now, if I'm honest with you, mate. And here I am. But we've got something coming. Let's just say, if you enjoyed the diss track that we did in the Sainsbury's car park, me and Regan a year ago, where Regan said the famous line, the only time. Well, I can't say that one. It's not appropriate for broadcast. But anyway, we've got a new song dropping. Me and Regan and someone else. It's coming soon. It's going to change the game forever. To be honest with you, and I feel like I need to remind people why they can't compete with me on a creative level. There's no one in this league that can. So it's time to remind people that again.
Awesome. Love to hear that, Don Jake. Thank you so much for your time, and congratulations on a great week for Ruddy. Talk to you next week.
Peace.
Peace. So guys, maybe...
I
can't even put on a hat properly. What a graduate you are, man.
I am so glad to finally get confirmation. Someone brave enough to say that Denmark doesn't really exist. It's only.
It's normally Finland, right? This is like Finnish propaganda, because it's normally like Finland doesn't exist.
Who's been to Finland, right?
I've been to Finland.
Irrelevant country,
but
and then he's
I
roasting
don't think
Denmark.
Denmark exists.
This is unbelievable, man.
I refuse to believe a person like you could come from a real country.
You've seen Gullbo as well. You've worked with him. He's also from Denmark. Vita's from Denmark. This production is run from Denmark.
Is a performing artist. He is a man of many talents, and we all know that really he's got like a persona he's crafted. It's a bit like saying you're from Middle Earth or something, but a little bit cooler.
This is
than
unbelievable. He also roasts
exactly.
my
That's right.
graduation.
Denmark is unbelievable.
No, I mean I'm in shook. He comes in. sits in his boxes and chats shit about my education. After 3 years of my life,
All I'm saying is,
studying
it was
Chinese.
Pirates had it right the first time. It's just a mistranslation. It's not X marking the spot. It's Den marking the spot. We found the
Denmark
magical
is
map
spot.
leading to treasure. That's what it really is. It's the land to Denmark. It doesn't really exist. It's like the Bermuda Triangle.
Oh, we're being pushed forward by the schedule here. I guess the producers have had enough of our Denmark chit-chat. So looking at the results of the day, ladies and gentlemen, what's happened? Well, there were no upsets today because a lot of us got our predictions right. Fourth wall, knocked down Unique with a wall. Natives struggled to close out, but they played a good old tiki-taka gegenpress, 1-3-1. Were able to close out the game. Verden,
1-3-1?
I guess Verden were really, really good. 1-3-1
Which spot?
when they
What-
closed
what's-
out the game. I mean,
Which
if you, I
okay.
know it's not handball,
Okay.
bro. I mean, our countries are
No,
apparently made up. Our sports
yeah.
are as well, I guess. Ruddy
I mean, to be
Esports
fair,
closing it
handball
out.
might be the fakest sport on the planet. I don't know, but
I
no.
mean, it's one we made so we could win something.
I mean, yeah. But to be fair, that's kind of like the Americans celebrating winning the World Championship when the Super Bowl. Right? It's kind of the same way. It's kind of the same thing. But no, let's look at the statistics here. How everything is kind of panned out today. Unique Esports going down into a 2-8 spot in the standings. Right, that was what we were expecting to see fourth wall at the start of the season. Verden trucking along in 9-1. Natives 8-2 in the middle of pack, as a second place. Then you have the middle of the pack now. There's a bit of separation between Ruddy and the rest, but when you're looking at that 4-6 bracket, Rude, a lot to unpack there.
So much to unpack. First of all, the fact that
What happened?
This is
we
the
just
tennis
got
before
back
today.
today. And
This is the tennis before we start today.
the main thing being that Fourth Wall are upsetting expectations, and they're coming in as the only organisation that wasn't in spring as well. It's really nice to see a team that was bought into Division 1 to add a new flavour, actually be competitive and look like a team that could challenge for playoffs. So for me, that's just a big win for the Fourth Wall organisation as a whole.
And speaking of big wins... Oh, never mind.
Yes.
I was about to transition into predictions, but you have a point.
No, you do that.
Nicholas.
That's a better thing than I was going to go for anyway. It's fine.
All right, let's look at the predictions here because
Wait.
again we can have like a full round of applause for everyone on the right side of the screen that aren't called Aragon and Hiprain. But they're not here to defend themselves. So
How is every color caster lower than every player-by-player except from Hiprain, who has deliberately tried to get the
Excuse
worst
me?
predictions possible?
Rude is above
Sixth as well.
Duckling.
I'm into.
Excuse me?
Oh, sorry. I actually, that's actually true.
I'm right here.
The real question, Nicholas.
No, joke is because we just said aside from the right-hand side of the screen, so I just didn't look at the right-hand side of the screen.
Right, so Mr. Hapgood,
I have
Mr.
no
Hapgood,
defense,
the
that
real
was bad.
question to ask here, Mr. Hapgood, right, is why is the host that wasn't a part of the previous season in first place? That is the real question that you gotta ask
because
yourself.
I've been feeding you the answers. It's really mean behind the scenes. That's what's going to pull off. It's going to be a whole like Photoshop reveal at the end of it all, and your face is going to disappear. It's me.
I've never seen Initialize and Witter on the same broadcast
Exactly.
at the same time.
No, exactly.
Oh.
Not once.
Even right now. Not even today. Not even today. No.
It's a social construct created by an AI code GPT-4 or something. Look at any sponsored post on LinkedIn or Twitter, and then you can kind of see any of those experts there. Speaking of Twitter, though, we have the ability for you guys to vote for the player of the day over there at NLC LOL. We have Chimera with a great performance on the Heimerdinger support in the first game. Stefan's Carthus jungle in the second game. Another jungle performance and Taxel on the Amumu in game number 3. And then to close it all out, Envy carrying the mid lane for Ruddy. Coming in with another banger performance here, guys. And I'm going to start with you, Duckling. Who is your player of the day? There's a Dane. So it's going to be a Dane.
Oh boy.
I mean, he was phenomenal. I could also I think I would give it to Chimera probably because he flexed right at the end of the draft into a weird champion who's not really in the meta, and he made it work. And he was really useful to his team in that game. So I want to give it to him.
It's a good thing you're Danish because that sounded so sarcastic. I know you meant it
I know.
sincerely, but you did just... it sounded like really bad.
It's because he's salty that people have worked out that this country doesn't exist. So,
That's true.
yeah, you know, it's hard.
Then I say H. It's just fake.
No! Quick, cut the beats! Cut the beats! It's revealing it!
Very well done. Fraser,
All right.
doing
Fraser,
such a good job.
beautiful.
Holy moly.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
I actually I do want to hear who your player today is, Rude, as well.
I actually want to give it to Chimera, unironically. I know that Denmark prevailed in Duckling's answers, but Chimera gave our 5 pick into being genuinely just a valuable tool for the team. And in terms of most valuable player in that game, I think the fact that unironically, he died a lot was so that his carries didn't. And it was constant good death after good death, because every time Chimera died, it meant we got to see damage from everywhere else. So,
Do you
just
agree?
a really well-played Heimerdinger game, honestly.
Initialize? You agree with that sentiment?
I'll give the honourable mention to Camera, who I agree with exactly what Rudy's saying there. But I think for me, I think Stefan's performance in terms of taking the... Crazy, you got such... Stefan's performance in terms of taking the level 1 advantage and making so much of it, yes, with the assistance of his team, but he was still the one who was asked and put in the position and given the responsibility to make that work, was pretty special, and we don't really get to see that happen very much. That was a very impressive 1v9 performance from the jungle in terms of just a masterclass in how on earth do you take a Poppy out of a game, how on earth do you play a Karthus jungle game to a pretty high level on a competitive stage as well. So I think for me, Stefan had a really holistically very good game, even if of course it got a little bit scrappier towards the end. I still think he largely played that game very, very well.
Also, wait for you to dodge being called out on UK bias, right? So.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. You guys are so UK biased. It's unbelievable.
All the time. Yeah, it's really.
It's actually insane. And with that, I also think we're gonna say thank you so much for you guys to being with me here today. We have Duckling, Initialize, and Ruddy all around as well. We were back on next Tuesday. Not on Thursday. That would be weird. With Tuesday and Wednesday, we start at 5 p.m. CEST. No, we start at 5 p.m. British. Why am I trying to do this in like actual real number? Why am I just saying we're starting at 1900?
It's because he's really me and therefore got a UK bias. We've just covered
Yeah, that's
this.
why. Like the plot
Pay no attention to
thickens.
the man behind the curtain. It's me.
No, there's. I'm trying to pull it back.
Oh my
word.
Just end the show. Cut it now. This cannot go on.
All right, so let me do this. So okay, so remember to go vote for the play out today over on the NLC LOL Twitter channel,
Please.
as well as remember to tune in next week. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you all next Tuesday.